When a collection becomes legend, the story always starts out small. For Jeff Jacob, it began like it did for so many of us. Ticket stubs, action figures. But while most of us fans boxed up their memories, Jeff did the opposite. He followed the trail. From early Kenner cardbacks to international variants, he built a timeline that you could actually walk through. This is a story of how one of the most sought after collections made it to the auction block. Let's go.
So as a child, in my toy box of toys that I had as a kid was many Star Wars action figures, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Thundercats, so many of the 80s toy lines that were absolutely a huge part of my childhood.
I think this might be one of the most interesting auctions to happen. Not just because of the one-of-a-kind items that are in this auction, but the collector who owned it and how he obtained all of these items.
So as an adult collector, in the toy lines that I've collected as an adult since 1994 to present, started off with Star Wars. After that, I started collecting other toy lines such as G.I. Joe and Thundercats and He-Man. I mean, there are so many different toy lines that we've collected now, that I collect now. But primarily, it's always been Star Wars is my number one, probably G.I. Joe is my number two, Transformers is my number three. Overall, huge portion of my life, as you can tell behind me, is dedicated to Star Wars.
And Hakes Auction House is the sponsor of today's video, and they sent me the catalog that covers this auction. And it's like a magazine. It's a great read that sets up the entire Jeff Jacob auction. So I want to go over the top items that I and other collectors are going to be looking at inside this auction, in what is the third installment of one of the most historic auctions. And the first item on my list at number 10, a Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight Lily Letty 30-back, graded 80 by AFA, with only 4 examples known to have been graded higher.
So the most elusive pieces, to be honest with you, are probably the Lily Letty collection. It took years for me to put them together, primarily because it was a condition thing, first of all, right? You can't find them in the same mint condition you can the American collection. There's just way fewer of them. The one big thing about Lily Letty's is they're so tough to find still that so many guys just accepted a resale on those.
And coming in at number 9, this Vader case is a time capsule, especially with the special offer where inside there are 3 Bounty Hunter action figures in IG-88, Bosk, and Boba Fett, 3 of my favorite bounty hunters when I was a kid. Just the second factory sealed example that Hakes has put on the auction block. The last one sold in 2018 and it closed at $14,160, and the EX Plus means that it's in very good condition but shows minor signs of wear. But this Darth Vader case was in so many kids' bedrooms in the 1980s.
So early on in collecting, it was a lot easier to find more mint shape figures. You'd show up even to a local toy convention that would be very small, but there would be, this is 25 years ago, there would be hundreds of really nice items everywhere.
Coming in at number 8, a classic, the AT-AT.
And one of my favorite Star Wars pieces of all time is the AT-AT Walker. That's something I remember heavily as a kid. It's always been one of those like iconic toys. I always felt it was like over the top. Even now, I mean, they still just reproduce the same item over and over.
This AT-AT that's up for auction has been Q graded by AFA at an 80. And a Q grade means that the box has been opened, but the contents inside are unused and unopened and qualify for grading. This AT-AT is the 1982 reissue, which included the accessory pack and had the $1 rebate offer on the box. And no examples known have graded higher, so my eyes are definitely going to be on this AT-AT. And this next item I just added to my personal collection. And I got a great example with unused contents inside and a gorgeous box, but the one up for auction, immaculate.
Condition-wise for myself, for my collection, if it was visually nice looking, even though I felt it would grade a little lower. Say something was a defect on the back side of the package, right? But on the front of it, it looked great, and I knew it was a super rare piece, that I would go for. But if it was super low quality, just beat up, even if I didn't have it, I've passed on it many a times.
At number 7, this Imperial shuttle has been graded 85 Near Mint Plus by AFA, with only 3 examples known to have been graded higher. And if I got this into my collection with my other shuttle that I just got, I'm gonna have to build a custom display.
So I feel that, you should, if you're gonna spend the money on your collection, you need to spend the money on a great display. Some guys just don't have the space, so I understand. But if you've got the space, utilize a great display, and that's one thing that I've always believed in, is presentation is everything.
At number 6, a Revenge of the Jedi proof card. And I've said it before, I love it when I see items like this go up for auction because you don't really see these every day. And I think they really tell the history of a toy line like Kenner and the process that they went through to release these cards. This example of the Revenge of the Jedi proof card is graded 85 Near Mint Plus by AFA. And it's special because obviously the movie title was changed to Return of the Jedi. And these are hard to come by these days, with pristine examples of pretty much any vintage toy becoming harder and harder to find in great shape these days.
As far as building my collection over the years, early on, like I said, before eBay, you just kind of had to go to local shows. You were looking in Toy Shop magazine. You were, they had a forum called Rebel Scum. So we would just, there was a smaller group of us, to be honest with you, so you'd reach out to them till eBay hit. It was very challenging to find stuff, and especially find things in really good shape.
Coming in at number 5, the Boba Fett 12-inch figure. That's on a lot of collectors' grail lists. The 12-inch figure line only ran from 1978 to 1980, making these very hard to find in the original packaging and factory sealed. And this example, graded 85 by AFA, it's gonna be on a lot of collectors' radars, with only 4 other examples with this grade and none higher.
Anything Boba Fett, that's a huge thing that I've loved. So over the years, as it's evolved, right? We get eBay, we get all these different forums, we get Facebook forums. As soon as Facebook forums really hit, the information of vintage Star Wars was really able to spread at a maximum volume at that time. Because before that, there was, very little known variants, and once people really got into it and they really started digging deep on, different COOs and what the figures look like and what the packaging looked like, back variants, front variants, figure variants, packaging variants, all of this, as soon as you start seeing somebody start to document it, then you start to research yourself. But it takes hours and hours and hours of research to just continually stay on top of all collectibles.
At number 4, a 1979 Series 2 Droid 3-pack. These were only offered in department stores like JCPenney, Sears, and Montgomery Ward, and only lasted until 1982 with 5 waves and a total of 16 boxes of the variations of the figures. These are almost impossible to find in their packaging these days since they weren't available in wide distribution. And this example, graded 80 by AFA, shows one in amazing condition.
Way before eBay and grading, you just kind of had to buy whatever you could find if you didn't have it in your collection. You would have to educate yourself on what you were purchasing because there wasn't enough information out there. It was almost fresh to you unless you knew somebody that had been collecting longer than you.
At number 3, it's Anakin Skywalker from his 1985 Power of the Force release. And although you can find loose examples of Anakin Skywalker for next to nothing, that was because he was first available as a mail-in offer. Once you add the coin, which can go for about $700 in great condition by itself these days, and then you try to hunt for the card back, which was never given a wide distribution, making this toy factory sealed, very hard to find in great condition these days. And this example has been graded 85Y by AFA. And the Y means that there's some yellowing on the plastic blister, which was very common to find on Return of the Jedi and Power of the Force cards because of the fire retardant they used in the plastic. And that's something that you rarely see in Palatoy and Lily Lady cards or other non-USA made card backs.
You know, it's like a lifetime of treasure hunting. So it's just been, you know, and when I say treasure, it's not the monetary value to it. It's, you know, I finally found this piece after 15 years. You know, to me, it's a treasure. To anybody else, they may just look at it as a piece of cardboard, right?
And coming in at number 2, Boba Fett always makes it high on auction top 10 lists. And this 85 graded Palatoy Meccano Tri-Logo 70B back will be on a lot of collectors' wish lists, with this example being one of 2 examples to have graded this high, with none being graded higher. And I had to throw in a special mention because Star Wars toys aren't the only line featured in this auction. Jeff also had a massive collection of G.I. Joe, Mask, Indiana Jones, and Transformers, with this example of a rare 1984 Optimus Prime. It's the Pepsi variant from Hasbro Canada, AFA graded at a Q60. You just don't see these come up for sale that often, and this one is in great shape, and only 9 other examples have been graded by AFA. And if you're a Transformer collector, this is on your grail list. And I had to include this as a special mention on this list. And coming in at number 1, once I show you this figure, you may think it's just a peg warmer, which in the USA it was. But it's the small details that you discover that turn a peg warmer into the find of a lifetime. It's General Madine, carded in a 1983 Palatoy Tri-Logo 70 back. This is probably one of the rarest figures to have ever been distributed, much like the Glasslight Vix figure. But why is it on my number 1? Well, last year, one that was graded at a 60 sold for over $40,000. Well, why? And again, it's the small details. Well, this one was sold only in France. But on top of that, if you notice the bubble, this is a very rare plastic bubble called the double stem bubble. Again, only made in France. And this version, it's graded at an 80, 20 points higher than the one that sold for over $40,000 last year. So this Madine figure, I'm gonna be watching this one super close.
Even before grading, I was looking at the best piece I could possibly put in my collection. So if it meant, you know, the clearest bubble or the nicest card or everything to be factory sealed, whatever it was, I just had to start looking at each piece. And, you know, at that time, this was before eBay even, it was still tough because you just kind of, if you didn't see it before, you just had to get it, you know. So way before eBay and grading, you know, you just kind of had to buy whatever you could find if you didn't have it in your collection.
Collections evolve, and so do collectors. Jeff's story isn't just about finding the pieces, it's about sharing them.
Some of the things that I still enjoy the most about collecting is the friendships. You know, I still go to all these toy shows all over the US, meet up with friends who have like-minded, you know, collections, and we talk about pretty much nothing but that. So it's great to just escape the world for a little bit, go out, and you're with people that love everything that you love to talk about, you know, for the first time. Because if you're telling your wife, she's sick and tired of hearing it, right? Even though my wife supports me, but she gets, you know, she's just like, oh babe, it's another new piece. All right, I get it. You know, where these other guys, you're telling about anything you got and they're like, oh man, that's amazing, let me see a picture, you know. So it's all this excitement of, you know, getting together with guys that love the same stuff that you love to collect. I've decided to sell my collection now because it's been a thought in my head for a couple years, but we're getting ready to build another house, so then it would be building another display room, and I really wanted to put this stuff in a museum. We went out to look for spaces in Tennessee for a museum, couldn't find any spaces. So then it put me back in the position of, what do I really want to do with my collection? Because even though I've made videos of it, I'm the one who appreciates it the most. But, I have friends that come over and they don't understand it, right? They don't get it. I would love to see my collection get passed through the whole world to different people and know who, got this piece and this piece and that piece, and be at peace with knowing that it's dispersed to the entire world, one piece at a time, and it'd be a fun journey, and that's part of this journey of collecting.
What makes this auction so special is that it represents one of the most complete and documented private collections ever assembled. Many of the items are in pristine condition, with archival that assures collectors they're getting the real deal. For years, these pieces were displayed and celebrated in the entire collecting community. And now, for the first time, they're being made available to fans around the world. So go to Hakes.com to check out the entire list of items that are up for auction, and there's close to 600 items. This is the third round of the Jeff Jacob auction, and there's gonna be about 3 more rounds in the future. So let me know in the comments which ones you're gonna be watching and which ones that you're gonna be bidding on. So thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe to see more vintage toy content. And to see more videos now, click the videos on your screen. And as always, my friends, thank you, and I'll see you next time.